The EP Podcast. Heard everywhere podcasts can be found, and always at theeppodcast.com.
"16 competitors went down to 4 in the Battle of Evergreen Park. We will announce the final 4 before this episode is over. And we're heading to Spoken Vine later to sit down with Frank Murray of the Evergreen Park Public Library and try out something that may be better than pizza. But first, sitting down here at the 9-foot homemade oak bar, Tim Moore is a guy you may not have met before. I've known him for a while, though. How are you, Tim?
I'm good. Thank you for having me.
We play 16-inch softball together.
We do.
Yeah, it was easy to set up this interview. All right, so you have a job that most Evergreen Park people probably wonder, like, who's the guy that does that? Is it a bunch of different people that do it? It's you. It's one truck. It's street cleaning. Street sweeping. What do you prefer? Street cleaning, street sweeping?
Street sweeping is fine.
Okay. I always remember, like, I grew up in Chicago, and they put up the signs, and you knew they were coming, and then you had to move the cars, and then the guy came along, but I mean, you know, they have so many guys that do it, and they would just come zipping through. I remember when I was a kid, I used to think it was the coolest thing in the world because it's a weird-looking truck that does that.
It is different looking. Yeah, kids do.
Yeah.
Kids like it, yeah.
Yeah, they probably come running out and wave. I used to do that. When the guy was coming, I got excited. You know, now I don't think Evergreen puts up signs though, right? Like I've never seen that. Like, don't put your car here.
We don't put up signs, and the big misconception too is like Chicago has cameras on their sweepers. Like if you're parked there, we don't have that, so no one's going to get a ticket for.
Oh, okay.
Being parked there.
So you don't worry if somebody's parked there.
No, I don't.
You're not like, we got to get them off of that block, and you just work around the cars.
Correct. Yeah.
Is that more fun because of the weaving and the ducking and the dodging? Like, do you ever once in a while think to yourself,
depending on the day, I guess.
when you're feeling saucy or going up the street thinking to yourself, okay, I'm going to come out and I think I can get in that real quick and come back out.
There have been
right?
times, yeah.
Yeah.
Cutting things a little close. But.
Well, I'm sure you're an expert at it now, though. I mean, like, it handles differently than a car, I would imagine, just because of the shape and the way where the wheels are all set up, right?
It does. It steers from the back, so it's a lot like a forklift.
Okay.
So the front wheels don't turn, the rear wheels do.
Our first guest, Tim Moore, and all of our guests today on the show, the entire show actually, brought to you by the First National Bank of Evergreen Park. Your child's bright financial future starts with learning good money habits early on in life. Help them get ahead with a Junior Savers account from the First National Bank of Evergreen Park. With a Junior Savers account, kids earn interest on every dollar they deposit so they can watch their money grow. Show your kids how fun and rewarding saving can be and set them up for success. There is no minimum deposit to open. Just visit the friendly folks in that iconic building at 95th and Pulaski. It's where I do my banking. It's where the entire network does its banking. The First National Bank of Evergreen Park, member FDIC. So this machine, and you're the guy, you're doing it all the time. So you're moving around
a majority of the time I do. I mean, if I'm not there or something's
there's somebody else who might do it.
Yeah.
So how often do you get to a location? Because I can't imagine you're doing every quadrant in a week like garbage is. Like you might get to my block how often? Like what do you think the time frame is in between?
So here on 99th Street, it's every week.
Oh, every week?
Yeah. So we do each quadrant every day of the week.
Okay.
I mean, there are times where things come up that maybe you'll get missed a week, but no one will ever get missed 2 weeks in a row. I mean, unless it's something catastrophic. Other than like during leaf season, then the schedule kind of changes a little bit.
Oh, I'm going to get into that in a second because that's like one of my favorite things that Evergreen does, and I absolutely love the leaf thing. But before I get to that, describe this machine that you're driving along, because I always wondered as a kid with the street cleaners, is it just a brush that's sweeping the dirt around? Is it sucking up garbage? Is it spraying water? Like, what is it actually doing?
So the water comes out, and that just keeps the dust down. The brooms on the side will kick it underneath, and there's a conveyor belt. And the conveyor belt kind of rolls, and the debris and the garbage gets thrown into the hopper in the front. And then there's a main broom, the bigger one you kind of see on the bottom, that kind of just cleans everything up.
It sounds like something in a Dr. Seuss movie.
That's about right. That's about right.
You're like a Who moving through Whoville with that thing. All right, so you're moving along. People don't need to worry about moving their cars. You're able to kind of work around everybody else. You're getting to people. At least you're trying to get there once a week. It'll never go more than 2. Am I getting that right?
Right.
Okay.
Right. And that's why when people ask how often you come by, I never say I will be here on Tuesday at this time, because
do people count on it?
Yeah.
Like, are people taking their garbage and throwing it out there under the curb? I can't imagine that, right?
There's people that will move when they
know you're coming. They want to be.
Yeah.
They want their curb cleaned.
Correct.
So they're curious about it, but there's not a set day for it.
Yes.
Okay.
So we go the Southwest quadrant is Monday.
Okay.
It's a day after your garbage day, typically.
Oh, okay. So day after garbage day,
Correct.
that's when you're aiming for it.
Right.
But there could be the possibility they don't get you either because of timing, weather. I would imagine, a really busy block, something going on.
Something's going on. Sometimes, there's a car accident I have to go clean up or something will happen.
Oh, you clean up after car accidents,
There's
too.
times. Sure. Yeah. Or, we're doing work somewhere and maybe the street's a little messy and you get called off and you have to go do that. But other than that, it's the day after your garbage day. I know the Southeast quadrant was changed from Monday to Friday, garbage-wise.
Yeah.
But they're still on Tuesdays for me to come by there.
Okay. That's interesting to me. See, that's the thing. I know you're out there. I've seen you go by. I could tell when you're cleaning the street. I had no idea there was a schedule.
Yes.
Yeah.
So this is Monday. This is Mondays.
Okay.
Tuesdays is Southeast. Wednesdays would be Northwest, and Thursdays is Northeast. And then Fridays, we take care of all the main, like 95th Street, Kedzie, 99th, 91st.
The big streets.
Correct.
So I see you on Friday.
Yes.
Because I'm in the Southwest quadrant, but I get you on Friday because I'm on a main street.
Correct.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Interesting. Very cool. All right. So let's get to the thing that I've been waiting to ask you about, and that's the leaf pickup because I know it's coming up. And
Be here sooner.
I love it. Okay. Listen, I think it's the coolest thing in the world. I get the impression that if I look at the Village newsletter the last couple of years, they continue to try to encourage people to put to pack up the leaves. Like, you don't need to throw every leaf into the street.
Right.
I just go out there with the blower and I'm just firing them. Like, it's fun for me. And I'm on 99th. So I know you're going to come along and you're going to get mine because you don't want to leave them out there. So mine, I just feel like they're not going to stay out there very, very, very long, and I will stack them up right there on the curb. So is that something that everybody's doing still? Have you seen people start to pack them up more often, or do you just know leaves are going to start falling and I've got a lot of work to do?
Well, in the beginning, when they start falling early in the fall,
yeah,
a lot of people do use their green cans. And then when it just gets, where you're just raking out into the curb, and that's where the sweeper schedule will kind of fluctuate a little bit.
And it's a different truck, right? It's got like a hose that comes down?
Right. Yeah. And then, so I will follow them. And then when it gets real heavy, we'll put 2 front end loaders out with dump trucks and just kind of, so there's no real set schedule. Like, we'll start an area and we will, until that's done, then we'll move on.
Yeah.
So it's not like, hey, you're supposed to be here Monday. During leaf season, it changes until...
Leaf season is like you're just trying to keep up.
Yeah, we're trying to keep up, exactly.
There's a lot of trees here. I don't know if you
noticed that. And
noticed
it's about 2 weeks
Yeah.
of where it gets really bad. And then, so we keep up the best we can.
The kids love it, though.
Yeah, the kids love the leaves.
They jump in the leaves and everything like that. I had to
make
make a rule, especially because we're on 99th, but I had to make a rule. Like, Dad'll keep them on the grass for a while. But when I kick them into the street, do not go out there and jump in to the pile of leaves. Do you get nervous that there could be a kid just hanging out in the leaves as you're going along with the, it feels like something out of Willy Wonka. Do you get a little nervous that there might be one that's decided to go jump in the pile of leaves?
At times, but it's funny you say that. This is probably about 25 years ago. We were picking leaves up with the 2 unloaders in the dump truck. We have a huge pile of leaves in our yard where we dump them. And our boss, Vince Aparo at the time, came running out screaming that a mother was on the phone thinking that her child was scooped up in the back of a dump truck.
Now that does sound like Willy Wonka, like just getting sucked up the tube.
It turned out the child was not there, playing in the house somewhere, but yeah, we were out looking through.
You must have been freaked.
We didn't really know what,
Yeah.
So that was interesting. Yeah, that was a while ago.
All right.
That's the only real close call we've had with something.
Yeah,
like
that's crazy. That's amazing, though.
Yeah.
I mean, that's like one of the things I used to tell them. I'm like, well, the leaves are fun, play in the leaves, but they do have a machine that comes along and sucks them up, and you don't want to be sucked up in the leaves.
Right.
Little did I know that was something that somebody thought happened to their kid one time. Didn't actually happen, though. So that's a good thing. It didn't actually happen. You've been doing this for a while, though, right?
I've been with the Village 32 years, and I've probably been driving a sweeper probably close to 20.
Is it the best job in your public works department? Is that why you've been doing it for so long?
A lot of people tell me that.
You're like,
I don't mind it at all.
I'm keeping this.
Exactly. Yeah.
Well, look, I appreciate you stopping by. You don't get any weird things that get thrown out there with the leaves, do you? I imagine you get somebody who tries to throw extra stuff in there that's not leaves.
At the leaves, sometimes there's, there'll be garbage or concrete or something like that in there. But no, I mean, nothing too crazy.
Nothing too crazy in there. All right. So a set schedule.
Yep.
You're hitting them generally the day after garbage.
Correct.
You're hitting the busy streets on Fridays.
Right.
Don't let your kids play in the leaves in the street.
Don't do that. Keep an eye on them.
And Tim Moore may have the coolest job in Evergreen Park Public Works. That's awesome. Tim, thanks so much, man.
Thank you for having me.
Building relationships, supporting the community, and service. These are the things that Country Financial stands for. They're more than just an office you may pass by as you drive through Evergreen Park. They're neighbors who lend a helping hand and support the fabric of your community, including charitable organizations, sports, financial education, and civic organizations. And since Country is already your neighbor, they want to get together and chat. Call your local Country Financial representative, Mike Thauer, today at 708-425-1559 to talk about the things that are important to you and how he can help you protect them. It's now time for your EP podcast, Word on the Street, brought to you by Spoken Vine Wine Bar and Bottle Shop, northeast corner of 95th and Kedzie. Great menu, incredible wines. You're going to hear it all in just a few moments when I sit down there with Frank Murray and try out some of the food. See everything they have to offer at SpokenVineWines.com. The Final Four in the Battle of Evergreen Park is going to be announced before the show is over, but let me tell you first about the new fall program book that is out there now from the Evergreen Park Recreation Department. It's all there. Oktoberfest, all their Halloween stuff, Santa's Wonderland coming to the EP, all the classes and sports programs. Get over to evergreenpark-ill.com and look at it all right now. The EP Recreation Department is presenting Irish Dance. Ages 4 and up can learn how to do the Irish dancing. Thursdays, 5:45 to 6:15, starting on September 19th, running through December the 12th, a 10-week course, and it's only $100. It'll be held at the EP Community Center at 3450 West 97th Street. Any questions, 708-229-3373. And next week on Thursday, September the 5th, the Youth Department is having a back-to-school ice cream social, grades 5 through high school. And the Evergreen Park Farmers Market continues to happen every Thursday. The EP Podcast will be out there this Thursday, recording an interview with Mayor Kelly Burke and Village Clerk Kelly Duffy. You'll be able to view and hear that next week. Finally, congratulations to 22 Evergreen Park Community High School students who just got recognized by the College Board National Recognition Program. Eligible students needed to have a GPA of a B+ and assessment scores in the top 10%. Our Football Friday weekly episodes covering the football team return this week with a brand new release date. It's going to be coming out on Thursday afternoons to give you a little bit more time to review what had happened in the previous matchup and get ready for Friday Night Lights with the Evergreen Park Mustangs. Now we're off to Spoken Vine, where I ate, I drank, and I heard all about what was going on this month at the Evergreen Park Public Library. The EP Podcast at Spoken Vine, once again, 95th and Kedzie, northeast corner. This incredible wine bar and bottle shop also has a delicious menu. And Frank Murray from the Evergreen Park Public Library. Hello, Frank.
Hello, Chris. How are you?
You're excited because there's food.
There's food, man.
And there's wine.
And wine.
I mean, think about this. Like the first time we did this a couple of months ago, there was sangria. Mm-hmm. There was no food. Mm-hmm. The second time, there was food. Lots of food. And all this is on the YouTube channel for the EP Podcast if you want to go back and watch previous items that were featured.
Check them out.
We got the full array here. And we've got Reed. He normally lets his wife do this, but he's like, nope, I'm handling this today.
Well, I bring wine and food. If you've noticed, I'm the one that shows up with the wine. She shows up with the food. This is how I make friends.
That's awesome. All right, so before we get to the wine,
let's talk about the food, because I always feel like, even though people get their drink first, I would imagine when they come in here, you got a beautiful bar. I mean, that's where I normally sit. I come in, I sit at the bar. I like to engage other people. We chit chat. It's a lot of fun when I come in here, and I'm in here pretty much once a week. You normally would have the wine first, but I always feel like wine pairs well with food. You might have an idea of where this is going. So why don't we talk about the food items first? What do we have out here?
All right. So first, today we're featuring our 2 pinzas. So pinzas are some say it's an ancient recipe, some say it's modern chefs. I'm going with the ancient recipe. They use a combination of rice flour and wheat flour, and then Italian olive oil and a high moisture content, so it makes it extremely fluffy. So it's got this like trademark bubbliness to it. I always compare it's like your pizza crust got kissed by a croissant.
Oh yeah. Oh, you're a wordsmith today.
Sometimes. So they're absolutely fantastic.
Grab a piece, Frank. While he's talking, you start eating.
So the one on Frank's side, that's our margarita pinza. So that one gets a butter garlic crust that Bridget makes. We put a bed of arugula down, our 5 cheese blend Roma tomatoes, and then freshly sliced basil on top of it. It pairs incredibly well with white wines. You can do it with reds as well, but it does great. The one over on your side is our Sicilian pinza. So
which I get 2 out of every 3 times I walk in here.
Yeah. It's no joke. It's no joke. So that is a combination of sopressata and pepperoni, our pinza crust and Bridget's homemade marinara sauce with our 5 cheese mozzarella blend, red onions and artichokes. So it's got a lot more of that like savory, a little bit more of that oily fattiness to it, and it pairs well with pretty much any red wine. Real quick before I let you guys to it, the 2 wines we have today are both from the same region. So these are both from Abruzzo. We're actually putting the white is the Val Real Trebbiano. Val Real is a winery that's actually really high elevation for Abruzzo. It's like honey and pear and almond notes to it. It's super sophisticated. We just put it on the menu. They make one of my favorite winemakers out there. And then the red is the new vintage that we just got in of the Dama Montepulciano. It's a little bit different than last year. This year it's got a nice big rich blackberry flavor with some leather and like some nice smooth tannins on the back end of it. It should pair incredibly well with that pinza. Both of these will be on the menu this weekend, so I hope you guys have fun.
I've never tried a white from Abruzzo, and I've been out there in that area of Italy, and I've never tried the white. So this is something I will try as I'm talking with Frank at some point. I'll report back. But this is really good, and you'll see me reach for this at some point as well, because I've never tried this. I've never tried the margarita.
We're expanding your horizons.
This is the one, but I'm going to try it now.
Fabulous.
I fall in love with certain things that I just keep going for them. I go for them.
I'm just glad one of those things you fall in love with is Spoken Vine.
Of course. All right, Reed, I really appreciate it. Again, Spoken Vine, get out here, 21 and over place. They're over at northeast corner of 95th and Kedzie. These are just some of the many small plate shareable items that they have. You come out for a meal, you come out to try things with your friends. It's a great first date spot. But last time I was in here, there was a guy on a blind date walking in the door. Walking in the door on a blind date. Sat down there and he was really excited and nervous all at once. It's great people watching as well. It's incredible here. Get on out to Spoken Vine. And my friend, thank you so much.
Thank you,
Reed.
All right.
Thank you.
All right. So now
Delicious.
we get to you. I like how this is formatted
Chris.
this
How are
time.
you?
I like how this is formatted this time, because while you're rattling down everything going on over at the Evergreen Park Public Library, I can eat.
Wait, I
You
thought
don't
I
get
get to eat.
No, you have to be able to tell me
I
what's
got to
going
promote
on.
my events and all the fun stuff that's happening at the library?
Yeah, kind of have to do that. The time is of the essence.
We got to change this up.
What before you get into it,
This is
I'm
delicious.
curious what
this
you
is
think
delicious.
of them, right?
This is delicious.
Right. You just took a bite of my favorite one.
That tastes like a pizza. Like that
It's
is
really good.
so good. The margarita pinza, delicious, and paired with the white wine that they have out here is amazing.
They're not flatbreads, right? Like, you could back me up on that.
Yeah.
Like, somebody might sit there and say, "Oh, it's just a flatbread." It is not that in any way. Reed nailed it with the whole idea
the
of
whole
like, it's a
description.
pizza dough that crossed with a croissant.
I believe you said kissed a croissant, and that is an extremely accurate description.
Okay, take that last bite.
Delicious.
Savor it for me, and then we're going to dive in everything going on at the library, because as August comes to an end and September begins, I know August is one of your more chill months.
Yep.
But like everybody else that's out there right now, school's back.
School's back,
I know
baby.
my weekends are taken up for the next 3-4 weekends. There's events everywhere.
Yep.
You and I are kind of laughing. We're recording this the same day as the back to school bash for District 124. So we're like, all right, we're going to have some wine and then we got to go out and see the kids. Perfect. Don't tell anybody. By the time people see this, it'll already be over and they'll have no idea we were drinking before we got
Or that might explain a few things. Whatever happens.
Oh, they were at Spoken Vine.
Oh, that's
that
what's
explains
going
their
on.
behavior at the
Yeah,
back to school bash.
I knew something was off with those two.
All right, so what's your big event though? September.
On Friday, September 13th, we have New York Times bestselling author Stephanie Van Pelt coming to the library to talk about her book, Remarkably Bright Creatures. As of right now, as of the recording of this, we have about 85 people signed up for this event
That's a big
already.
crowd.
We're probably going to cap it at 120.
Is she in the building?
She's in the
This
building.
is not one of your Zoom things.
This is not one of my crazy Zoom things.
Okay.
No,
I
no,
just wanted
that's
to make
it.
sure.
I know.
I remember
you were,
Danny Trejo was coming, but then he was just on TV.
He was on TV. Yeah, he was
not
on
the same
Zoom.
thing.
Yeah. We'll also have the book for sale. There'll be a book signing as well with the author. So we're extremely honored and excited to have her come and talk about this book.
I know you have another author coming in we were talking about. I know I'm going to skip a little bit, but I might as well bring it up. I've interviewed him before, Ken Smoller, who wrote the book Last Comiskey.
Thank you.
About the last season in the old Comiskey Park. And I believe the book was written after the documentary. So there's a documentary that I believe you can actually access on YouTube, but there's a documentary, and then he went more in depth with the book. And he's a really interesting guy, and he tells some great stories about it. If you're a White Sox fan, or if you're just interested in that time period, there's so many like peripheral stories of what was going on in the city around that last season there. You had a team that was young. They actually competed for a World Series in the immediate years following that. They got really good, but like Frank Thomas is young. All these very young players are getting their first crack at the major leagues. It's the end of 80 years in that ballpark, and there's so much going on in the city around it, and it covers the entire thing. He's really
really built this up really well. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
I mean, as a White Sox fan, let's go watch it. Let's go read it.
I'm kind of doing your job for you.
You are. You're selling it for me.
I'm just trying to help
So
you.
come on out. It's going to be, we're going to have Ken there Saturday, September 7th at 10:30 a.m. So September is also National Library Card Month. So that's our big promotion where we want people to sign up. There's a whole month, man.
Whole month about library cards?
Yes. National Library Card Month. National Library Month.
You librarians always make library cards seem like they're a big deal, okay? But in the end, like if I walked into your library right now and I was like,
Do you want to go down this road with me
I
right
have
now?
no card whatsoever, but I'd like to get a book. You would find a way to get me a new one pretty quickly, and I would be able to walk out the door. Like, do people actually get rejected for library cards? Does that ever happen?
No. As long as you're a resident of the home library, Evergreen Park,
Okay.
you get a library card.
What if I had a library card from Oak Lawn and I was coming over to Evergreen Park because you had something Oak Lawn didn't have? Would I still get it? Mm-hmm. Okay, so
well, you would use your Oak Lawn library card.
Okay.
At Evergreen, yeah.
Right. So everybody's got these cards. Nobody gets rejected for the cards, and the cards can be used in any library.
Pretty much.
So why do you have the cards, let alone a month?
So why is there this whole card thing?
I'm just saying.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, it all boils down to your tax money. Like people pay taxes for their
How much
library.
should my
so,
taxes pay
boom.
for these cards that I don't really need?
How much? Let's look at your tax bill, Chris. Let's see. I'd say maybe about $100.
Okay. All right. I'm just curious. Sorry, I just love
You
messing
just
with
love bringing it
I'll
up.
have a glass of wine. You keep talking about National Library Card Month.
All right, so National Library Card Month. Everybody, come on in. If you don't have a card already, come in and sign up. As of last year, I don't have current numbers, but we have about 19,000, almost 20,000 residents in Evergreen Park. As of the end of last year, we had 11,600 some active library cards, Evergreen Park library cards.
That's pretty impressive. There's only 7,000 households in Evergreen Park, so that's a big number.
We're looking at about 60% of the Evergreen Park population with an active library card. We're extremely proud of that. But come on out, all you other 7,000 to 8,000 people who do not have a library card. We'll show you why that library card is so important.
How long do they last for?
3 years. You got to renew it every 3 years.
All right, so I'm one that doesn't have one then because mine's expired.
Well, we need to get your butt in there.
I'm pretty sure when I walk in, it won't be a problem, though. It seems like it's pretty easy.
Well, that's our job, Chris, is to get you a library card if you don't have one, or renew it. Or renew it.
All right,
So,
National Library Card Month. We got authors coming in.
our regular users and our regular story time people know that we kind of take August as a pause, but we're kicking back up with our story times. Starting in September, we have our baby bookworms, which will be on Mondays at 9:30. We have our toddler times, which is for ages 18 to 35 months. That's on Tuesdays at 9:30. We also have a bilingual story time that's going to be going on Tuesdays, and that's in the evening at 6:30. And then we have our preschool story time on Thursdays at 9:30. And these classes go from September through all the way through December. So all fall and early winter long.
That's awesome. I'm sitting here eating these, and I got to tell you, both of these pinzas, these can go head-to-head with any pizza in the area.
Easily.
Right?
Easily.
They can really go head-to-head with any pizza. Like, we're doing the Battle of Evergreen Park right now, and there is the possibility that Spoken Vine could get to the finals against Rosangela's. And I was just at Rosangela's recently, and I come in here all the time. They could give them a run for their money if you were just comparing the pinzas with the pizzas. I'm not. That is not me just playing up to the fact that I'm sitting in Spoken Vine.
No.
This is really good.
They're very good.
Really good.
You are spot on.
Right, I know.
They nailed it.
Not a pizza, it's a pinza, but I mean, it can compete with pizzas.
Easily.
For sure. Easily.
And beat them, too.
Yes, for sure.
One might add. All right, so other great events that we have going on, science, STEM-related events, activities. We'll start with Kids Craft Night, Tuesday, September 3rd. And September 17th, that's going to be at 6:30 p.m. We're going to do bubble wrap printed apples. That'll be September 3rd. And then sponge painted leaves on September 17th. So come on out for all that fun.
Is this your biggest time of year for the smaller kids? Because I would think that, like, you have every year, you've got parents that are newly sending their children off to school, but then you have the group that either has like half day and they want to find something else for them to do because they're really young, or they got older brothers and sisters, or they've gotten to that level where it's like, man, I wish they were in school. I wish I had something for them. Let's go see if there's a community event for it. I would think this is a big boon month for you, just because everybody's back to school, people are in their schedules, and there are little kids looking for things to do where their older brothers and sisters are not around, and the parents are like, let's get them over to the library.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I mean, all year round, really, but you're absolutely right. With start of school and everybody's got their after-school activities going on, the smaller kids kind of get left out, the younger kids, I should say, and we're there for them. We got it all covered.
Yeah, and then you still got teen stuff, and you got stuff afterwards. You get kids that come walking in there, I would imagine, and want to study there, because sometimes it's quieter at the library than their house.
Believe it or not, yes, children do study, even teens. Yeah, and they will come to the library for it.
Listen, I wasn't paying a lot of attention, but they must have been studying. I dropped off Audrey at the University of Illinois this past weekend.
Oh,
Lots
congrats.
of tears, and she's out there, and she didn't get there because she wasn't studying. And the other guy's a junior right now, and he's keeping his grades up because he sees what she got, and he's like, I got to do better and keep working at it. So they study. Kids study.
They do.
And if they don't have a good environment to study in, the library's a good spot. You got a lot of areas there. You got rooms. You got places for them to go.
We sure do. We got the study rooms, quiet reading room. We even have a teen space that's more for kids after school who need to burn off a little more energy, but not maybe the appropriate environment for studying, but it still happens in there. And I will add, since we're on the topic of studying, the library has partnered with District 124 on a community grant, and that's allowed us, the library, to purchase a online database called BrainFuse Help Now. And what that allows, any student from kindergarten through college can log on there and get live help from a tutor.
That's awesome.
Yes, from 2 to 11 p.m. Any subject. You picked your subject, your grade, boom, boom. I have this math problem I'm struggling with. I can't figure it out. If you're like me and a parent and was horrible at math, you're like, hey, kid, sorry, you're on your own. I can't figure out 5th grade math. You can log in there and the tutor will walk them through the problem and get them to the answer, not just give them the answer.
Well, I love that too, because all these high schools in the area, Evergreen Park Community High School, some of the private schools in the area, all these, and even your D124 schools, Central, all of them, they offer help. They offer tutoring. They have people there, but kids sometimes are embarrassed to ask. Like I have some kids that I'll say it right now. They're smart kids. They're very smart kids. They've always done well in school. But even the smart kids run into problems, and they have, well, at least one of them for sure, I'll tell you, has kind of an ego. Like, she doesn't want. I just gave away which one it was. Doesn't want to. Because I only have one girl and I have two boys. Doesn't want to admit that maybe there's something she doesn't know. And so getting her to go get help was a struggle. Like, she needed to dip a little bit in a grade before she finally understood, maybe I need to get help. That program sounds like you don't need to do it in the school. The other kids don't need to know that you went and got extra help, and you're talking to somebody the way that you got it set up. I think that's a great idea.
And it could just last the 2 minutes that you need to figure that math problem out.
Right.
Or
you don't need to be on for an hour.
You don't need to be on for an hour or 2 hours.
Yeah.
It's just log in, and they'll connect you to a live tutor, and it'll all happen online. And they even
I would totally take advantage of that.
Yeah.
I would have been in there just using the guy to give me the answer. What's the answer to this one?
Yeah, what's the answer?
Well, I'll tell you how I did it. I don't need to know how you did it. Just give me the answer.
Just get to the answer.
That's the kind of kid I was.
They also
That's
allow
why I'm in
you
radio and I'm not an architect.
to upload a paper. Say you got a paper you got to write for English class or history class, whatever it is.
Right.
You upload it, give them 24 to 48 hours, and they will review it, critique it, and give it back to you so you can make any changes that you want to that paper.
That is an incredible service available over at the Evergreen Park Public Library.
And same thing with our adults. We have a Job Now feature with the same company. If you're looking to get back into the workforce or applying for a new job, you can upload your resume there. They'll review it for free. Again, 24, 48 hours and give you some really practical feedback.
Resume stuff, if you look online, is so expensive. It's and it's so frustrating to people because the style of a resume has changed so much in the last 20 years that if you're an adult and you're sitting around trying to figure out, well, I want to change or I want to get into something else or I want to look at other opportunities, wherever you're doing, the way you wrote a resume 20 years ago when you hit the workforce is different than the way that they read them now. And that's a proven thing. So that's a great service as well.
Oh, it's an amazing service.
Your Evergreen Park Public Library will get your kid through school and get you a better job.
Yeah, it's
guaranteed by Frank Murray.
It's all free resources. You can go
if your
online.
kid's grades don't improve and you don't get a job worth at least $20,000 more a year, he'll buy you a Pinza here at Spoken Vine. Right, Frank?
Thanks, Chris. Back to you, Reed.
The Battle of Evergreen Park has been going on for the last couple of weeks online, and we are down to the Final Four. Congrats to those that made it to the Elite Eight. Spoken Vine, who you just heard from, Porter Cullen's, Wolf's Bakery, Pappy's, Rosangela's, Bialys, the fitness segment winner, Core Fitness and Physical Therapy, the Plaza segment winners, TJ Maxx. But only 4 of them could make it into the Final Four, and voting starts today. The date of this episode release on Tuesday, August 27th. And it will all be over in a week. So who's in the Final Four? I'll start with the fitness bracket running into the Plaza bracket. It was the closest matchup of the Elite Eight. 51.6% picking TJ Maxx and setting up the weirdest matchup of the entire tournament, as Rosangela's beats Bialys by 76% of the vote, and the former champion now will go up against a clothing store. It's pizza or apparel. I'm kind of guessing it's going to be pizza. We'll see. The other side of the bracket makes a lot more sense. 56% of you chose Wolf's Bakery over Pappy's. The virtual next door neighbors went head to head this year. Wolf's advances to the Final Four, and they will take on the winner of a showdown between Porter Cullen's and Spoken Vine, and maybe it's those Pinzas. Spoken Vine will advance on to the Final Four to take on Wolf's Bakery. We're almost to the end. The defending champions are still in it. The runner-up last year is still in it. The upstart Spoken Vine is still in it. Who will win the Battle of Evergreen Park? Facebook, theeppodcast.com, Instagram. Get there, get the link, get your vote in all week long, and we will see you next week. Enjoy the big concert at Sexton Park on Labor Day. Rich Daniels and the City Lights Orchestra, we talked to them on the last episode, performing with a fireworks show afterwards. Enjoy the weekend. We'll see you next week on the EP Podcast.
It's the EP Podcast. All things Evergreen Park. It's the EP Podcast. Evergreen Park.